Conducting an effective video conference with customers is always not a very easy task. You need to think about how to connect with them. What should you say in the first few minutes? Are they bored? Can we get the engagement correctly? In the past, we were able to just go visit with them on site. And now that's less and less stuff that we can even do. So, how can we connect with customers quite immediately? And not just on the business level, also on the personal level, and how much is too much? Hello, my customer success friends. Irit Ezips here for CSM Practice, the customer success strategy consulting firm. So I'm super excited today to have a couple of the communication gurus in the world on this session. So you want to stay tuned as Ingrid Gudenas and Janet Hansen from Effective Training Solutions. They're both expert in executive training and on how to communicate internally with stakeholders as well as with customers. I'm super excited to have them demonstrate today how should customer success managers connect with their clients in a most profound way. Janet and Ingrid, thank you so much for joining the show today and coming on our channel to share your expertise with us.
Irit, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. And I just think customer success is so important. I so admire the professionals that are in this industry.
Before we start, I'd like to remind everyone, subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the great videos that we produce on customer success. What are some of the common mistakes you see people make when they connect with a customer or even an internal stakeholders on Zoom or online video?
I'll tell you the first mistake I see, and it actually has to do with the word virtual. What does the word virtual mean to you? Most people are going to say it means not in person, using technology, the person somewhere else. And most people would say it's not as good as being in person. The biggest mistake they make is that's not what the word virtual means. If you look it up in the dictionary, it actually means creating the power of real, even when it's not actually real. What happens is people start the call and they're not comfortable. Imagine, Irit, we're having our first Zoom meeting and I say to you, hi, it's really nice to meet you. I'm Ingrid and I work at Effective Training Solutions and I'm going to be your customer success manager on this journey. It creates an experience for you that's really not real. If you were coming to my house for dinner and I opened up the door, I wouldn't go, hello, we're going to eat now. Please sit down. We're talking about customer success and relationships and connecting. It's really important to get the idea that it's as good as in person and you're really right here with me and being really comfortable and saying, hi, I'm Ingrid and I'm really excited to be on this journey with you and creating that power of real.
That's so important. I love what you used as an example. And I think we could all think about opening the door when we open the video and start the meeting to say hello as if they're a guest at our house, a guest that we're excited about, not our mother-in-law, for example, but someone that we're truly excited about. How would that look like? How would we react? It's almost like when you see somebody we really love.
Exactly. Yeah. So you start off on the right foot.
Just the opening, your facial expression, your tone of voice really sets the entire conversation. Just a good camera presence, what does that mean?
It's extremely important because it goes along with the idea of virtual. Janet's going to demonstrate the most common mistakes that people make with camera presence. The very first thing I want you to notice, it's the angle. Janet's looking down at me. I'm looking up at her and I actually can see part of her ceiling. The angle is completely wrong. You don't want an angle. You want a horizontal line from your eye directly to the lens of the camera. So Janet, if you would adjust the angle here. Now, her angle is much better, but here is the thing. I'm going to want you to see the difference here. All that space above her head is dead space. Now, in a real conversation, you never see the ceiling while you're talking to someone. Janet, what I want you to do is eliminate the space above your head. Let's get rid of the ceiling there. Good.
Wow.
Now look at the difference there compared to when she started. The other thing that happens is people are too far away from the camera. So Janet, could you back away from the camera?
How's that?
Yeah. And
Mhm.
then what I'd like you to do is from there, Janet, I'd like you to say the words. I really recommend this particular option for your customer success journey.
I really recommend this option for your customer success journey.
Now move in close. Now go ahead and say it.
I really recommend this option for your customer success journey.
Good. Do you see a difference?
Yeah, you can actually make eye contact, whereas before you were just focused on the background because she was so far back.
Now on the lighting, you could see the lighting is much better than what it was before, but you notice that the right side of her face is not very well lit. So let's light the right side of your face.
I'll add some light.
Look at that. And then what you also see here is that she's perfectly centered.
One of the other mistakes that I've seen a lot of people make, they're kind of have like two screens. And so the camera might be on one screen, but they will be looking at me on the side, or they will be busy looking at the screen talking to me, or maybe looking at themselves instead of looking at the camera.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a huge difference. Give me an example, Irit, of a message that customer success manager might need to deliver. It might be a difficult message or they're trying to persuade. What would give me one sentence?
The number one most difficult sentence, I think, for a customer success manager to say to a client is to let them know that there's a pricing increase.
The most common mistake people make is they look at the picture. They look at the video because it's very comfortable for them to look into the person's eyes. Janet, what I'd like you to do is look into my picture and tell me there's a price increase.
Ingrid, I'm so sorry to let you know that there has been a price increase.
So what she has done there is she's established a really great relationship with my knee. Now, the other mistake they make is when they're looking at the lens, they look at the light, which is a little bit off from the lens. So Janet, look at the light and tell the light.
I need to let you know, Ingrid, that there's been a pricing increase.
Now go ahead and nice and friendly look in the lens.
Ingrid, I do need to let you know that there's been a pricing increase.
That's amazing. The whole feel is different. Hopefully, a lot of customer success managers viewing it because this is so important. It's not just the lighting, the structure where you are, really just talking to the lens.
There's one more element, Irit. Let me just show you. I'm going to look at the camera and I see a camera. I'm really sorry to tell you there's been a price increase. Here's what I'm going to do. Remember, virtual reality is independent of actual reality. So is imagination. I'm going to look into the camera and I don't see a camera. I see your face, Irit. We've had such a great relationship and I'm sorry to tell you that we're going to have to increase the price. Talk to the camera, but imagine, like don't see the camera. Imagine it's somebody's eyes and look into their eyes and imagine that the eyes are warm.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of like coming away from some of the anxieties that people have in talking to a camera or being online and having people see them. So a lot of times we see even people shut off the camera for a number of reasons, but some of it is because, it's not natural for us to be photographed. There's a lot of people that are just really shy about that. And so I think that when they actually take all these different advice and checklists, right, and they still look at the camera, it's like, they're still very much focused on their own anxieties and insecurities versus making the other person feel welcomed and loved and appreciated. I think that's a big difference. How do you feel about the agenda for a meeting? How should we plan? Are there any tips on making sure we leverage the meeting to build it out in a way that's engaging for our customers?
Find out in advance what the customers are hoping that we cover and finding out from them what they would consider valuable. Basically, hey, I'm going to be coming on the call and, this is what we're going to be talking, we're going to cover your progress. I want to make the call valuable for you. What are you hoping that we're going to cover? And if they don't answer that in advance of the call, asking that at the beginning of the call. How many times have you walked in with an agenda and then you find out they actually want to talk about something completely different? Find out what's going to be valuable for them. And then you can marry the two agendas. Well, you want to talk about this. I'd like to cover this. So let's organize it this way. And so you come in prepared, but you also want to get their input on the agenda.
I really love looking at it from the audience's perspective. When we're talking to a group or even just another person, looking at it from their perspective, getting what's important to them. And of course, on all your calls, who's the most important person in the room is the customer. Getting their perspective on it and then tailoring the agenda, even what you're going to say, to what they find most important. Let them know why and what you're going to be covering and what's in it for them. Why should they care about this call? If you can find that out ahead of time, that's really great. If you don't know, just to immediately get into communication with them and ask them very straight up, what do you want to get from this call?
Find out before, and if you can, during, if you have multiple people in the room, definitely re-socialize your agenda, objectives, and what's in it for them. I think that's the aha moment for me, like the what's in it for them. So what are some of the sentences that you heard people use at the beginning of a conference call or a virtual video call to entice an enrollment conversation and get people jazzed up? Do they start with what's in it for them?
I don't think people look at it that way. Like, for example, if I have a call for you, I don't look at it like what's in it for Irit. I'm looking at what's your purpose. A simple question I've asked is, what's your attention been on lately? What's the organization focused on these days? What are the top 3 initiatives everybody's focused on? What are the things that you want to accomplish? What are the driving forces this quarter?
I think a lot of times the customer success manager tries this first 3 to 6 minutes before the meeting actually starts to get that connection with the customer. And they think that if they share some stories about their dog or the last time they went on vacation to Mexico, then maybe the customer will open up and now they'll have a personal relationship. But I feel like sometimes clients don't want to hear about your dog or your latest vacation. But if you actually had powerful questions like what's top of mind right now, what's happening with you, with your organization, I think that opens up a better dialogue. What do you think?
I have really deep relationships with people. I have no idea where they go on vacation. I mean, I know a little bit maybe, but I think you're absolutely right. But I know what they're passionately interested in. What projects have you been working on these days? Or where's your energy been going these days? Or what's going to be really important to you going into this next quarter? There are some people that want to hear all about my cats, or some people want to know about my garden. The important thing is really feeling that bond and that connection, because that's really the foundation for a great relationship.
Would you recommend CSMs to start by sharing some personal stories or start moving into more profound questions in general and see what the client chooses to share?
Well, it's always good to know the answers to the profound questions, because then you can predict what's going to be happening and what kind of a mood they're in and all that. The important thing is to read the person, maybe a little bit of how's it going, maybe ask a question or two and then kind of determine. I think the people that are going to have a hard time are the people who always open with the same thing.
Is there some sort of a video conference call etiquette that our customer success managers should know about?
People don't realize that when someone else is presenting, they're still on stage. They could start multitasking or just not look interested. You don't need to look like an eager beaver. You don't need to look artificial, but part of etiquette is to really remember you're always on stage, be present.
Do you think that applies to situations where the conference call is actually being led not just by someone from your own company, but the client might be speaking, or you might be the client and the vendor is speaking? There's 6 people on the call, 2 are going at it. I had so many situations where one of the people pick up the phone and start like having a completely separate conversation, or they look at another screen, so you're not really sure if they're taking notes or multitasking. Do you think that that applies as well? What is the danger in that? Or is there any kind of like impact that you've seen?
One of the things that is very invalidative, in other words, it tells a person you're not important, I don't care about you, I don't respect you, is non-attention. Any non-attention indicates that it's not important. You're communicating a lack of importance to the other person or persons. The whole purpose of etiquette is to smooth out relationships. It's about how do we bring people together with different backgrounds? How do we bring people together with different viewpoints and different ideas and maybe disagreements and all kinds of things, right? But how do we come together and actually interact and relate with each other in a way that we come out with the benefit, something mutually good, creating importance to the other person so that we can we can really establish good relationships.
Would you recommend shutting the camera off then if you absolutely have to take another call at that point?
If you have to, it's much better to shut the camera off.
Do you have any resources recommending to either executives of customer success or customer success managers who just really want to show up more powerfully, not just to customers, but in their own world, in their own workplace? They wanted to get promoted. I think communication is really key. What are some of your suggestions?
We'll provide you with a PDF that people can look at that I think is going to help them with their camera presence, because showing up in the camera is really good. Another thing is recording yourself. Like you can do your own Zoom or WebEx and interact with the camera and record yourself and watch yourself. You actually can even practice on your own and see on your own things that you can improve. I write a blog every week. I write an article every week that's on our website, and also I post it on LinkedIn. And people tell me that it's very helpful for them. Also, we have online courses and workshops and one-on-one coaching that we do.
Awesome. So if you guys listen to this video, I will include in the description below a couple of resources to get better at virtual conference calls, as well as link to Ingrid's blog. I have attended 2 of her workshops and can totally tell you it's absolutely life-changing, transformational. If you have the budget, go get it. This should be your number one thing you do this year, especially if you feel like communication could be something that you want to work on. Ingrid and Janet, thank you so much for taking the time today to share from your experience and expertise. Guys, check out the links below and check out their website. Awesome classes and workshops. They're just being way too modest. I'll see you at the next video.